If it happened to me, it could happen to you. It could happen to your mother, it could happen to your sister, it could happen to your brother, it could happen to your daughter. In January of 2011, I lost my grandmother. I delivered the eulogy at her funeral, and as soon as I sat down in the pew at church, I had this really intense, very, very sharp pain in my chest. I sat there for a minute and tried to compose myself, and I looked at my husband and I said, "I'm not really feeling well." And he asked me what was wrong, and I said, "I don't know, I have this really sharp pain in my chest." And he said, "Okay, is there anything I can do?" And I said, "No." So I had some water with me, took a drink of water, and I thought maybe I was just a little nervous or anxious or, just emotional. After I took that drink of water, I started getting very nauseated. And then after I got nauseated, my whole left arm went numb. As soon as my left arm went numb, I knew something was wrong. At the time, a heart attack wasn't even in my mind. I didn't even think anything such as heart attack, but I knew something was wrong. I knew that feeling was not right. So I looked at my husband and I said, "I need to leave the church." I went to the back of the church, and I did not feel well. My really good friend had come to the service, and she happens to be an emergency room physician. And she noticed that I had left the church and came out to find out what was wrong. And I told her what was going on, and she said, "Well, I think maybe you should go to the hospital." At that point in time, my husband drove me to the hospital. Immediately, they asked me, what I had been doing, where I had been, and I told them that I was at my grandmother's funeral. I believe they immediately thought I was having an anxiety attack or a panic attack or something of that nature. I was 38 at the time. I'm relatively healthy. I don't have any of the classic, heart attack history in my family. I don't even remember them asking any questions about any heart history in my family, actually. So I think when they just look and see that you're young and appear to be healthy, I think that they immediately went to that place of anxiety or panic. I went in, they hooked me up, they did an EKG, and the EKG came back normal. Next, they did a chest x-ray, and the chest x-ray also came back normal. So at that point in time, I think that they thought that nothing was wrong, that I was, again, just having an anxiety attack or a panic attack. I was in so much pain, though, that I was not willing to let it go. I requested that the doctor give me some sort of medication because I was in a lot of pain and I wasn't going to leave. So they gave me some narcotics to help with the pain. And it was about this time that everyone in the room started running around. My friend, who was the emergency room doctor, had found us and had been there now, and she pulled my husband out of the room, and they were talking, and when they came back in, they were the ones that told me, "You're having a heart attack right now." So at that point in time, they loaded me up in an ambulance, and they transported me to the nearest hospital, which is a very good heart hospital. When I arrived there, they asked me a lot of questions about where I was, what I was doing, and within a few minutes, I was in the cath lab having an angiogram. I found out that my left anterior descending artery was 90% blocked, and I ended up having a stent put in at that time. This was in 2011, before a lot of the research had been done, and when they put the stent in, my artery tore further, so I ended up having 2 more stents put in. I think my artery kept tearing, And at that point in time, I think the doctors finally decided, we're not going to put any more in. This is what it is. We just have to wait and see what happens now. I ended up in the cardiac intensive care unit for a couple days. I don't remember those days, but I remember the later days in the hospital. I had never heard of SCAD before, and so when I came home from the hospital, the first thing I did was I sat down on the couch with my laptop and I read everything I possibly could about SCAD. I'm much more aware since it happened, and it's always going to be in the back of my mind, but I've been able to move on and to keep going and to keep doing the things I was doing and keep doing the things I enjoy, because I feel good and I'm still exercising, and I want to live my life. I don't want to sit back and watch life go by.